In this video, I'm going to show you how you can use CareAlign as a preceptor for medical education. We'll start by setting up lists and standardized patients for your students, and then how to review their work. There's more than one way you can set up workflows in CareAlign, so we'll provide recommendations for how to get started, but you may find that as you learn more advanced features in the application, you may want to structure things differently. That's the beauty of it, and we'd love to hear about what you've discovered and what you decide to do so we can learn from you. This is the main screen in CareAlign that you will see when you log in. When you start, there will be a tour that pops up to walk you through some of the basics of CareAlign. You can close that and actually click the box that says don't show it again, but you can launch at any time by clicking this button here that says Start Tour. So the main part of the screen is your patient list. You can choose which patients you want to view by selecting a saved list from the bottom left here. When you first log in after creating your account, there won't be anything here until you create or save an existing list. Above this, you see Smart Lists. This is where you can keep track of the work that the students have done and that is ready to review. We'll get back to this later. So the first thing to do is to create a list of your standardized patients. To create a list, click on the Add List button. Type the name of the list you want to create here. One of the features we're excited about in CareAlign is that you can create a list, let's call it a source list of standardized patients, that every night our engine will copy into a demo list of standardized patients so that you can have one list which is your source. It doesn't get changed except for when you want to change something about your standardized cases. Every night we will copy that into another list with the word demo in it instead of source, so that you have a fresh set of copies of these standardized patients that your students can use to work from. So when you're creating your list, let's say it's called your standardized patient list, write the word source in brackets. That is what tells our engine that this list should be copied every night into a demo list. As you can see, if there isn't already a list with the name that you've typed in, you'll see an option that says Create New List. Click that, and then at the bottom right, you can click Create List. Now, once you've created your standardized source list, as I said, every night at midnight, it will copy into a demo list overnight. So tomorrow when you log in, you will be able to search for and save the demo list. I'm going to go ahead and do that now because I've already created that list. So in the search field here, I click Demo, and then I save the list. Now let's create our first standardized patient. Let's go back to our source list. Start by clicking Add Patient, enter a last name and a first name, and then either hit Enter or click Search. What the system is going to do is first check to see if this patient already exists, and if they don't, then you're going to click Create New to create them. You can enter as much as you like here, but the only required fields are last name, first name, date of birth, and biological sex. There's also a space for emergency contact information and allergies. However, we recommend skipping over these at the start. You can always come back to them and add them into your educational plan once your students and as a group you're more comfortable working with CareAlign. Once you've filled out the necessary fields, click Save. The next screen starts the patient wiki. Think of that as their living, breathing progress note or care plan page. In the top left area, you will see what lists the patient is already on. Since we started on the standardized patient list when we tried to create this patient has already automatically been added to that list. To remove or add lists, simply either click on this trash can icon, or you can click in this text box here, start typing the name of the list you want, and select it, and the patient will get added to that list. On the right, there's a place for putting in the patient's location and a custom field. These are the fields that will show on the list views for your patients. You can also sort lists based on these views. So what we recommend doing is in the location field, you enter the patient's diagnosis. So it might be belly pain, it might be chest pain, whatever you want to write here. In the bottom left, there's an area for the patient's code status that can be left blank, and you can choose to incorporate this into your teaching in more advanced classes. Once you're done with that, click Save. This will take you to the patient's page. For the purposes of this first phase of using CareAlign for medical education, we're going to focus on a simpler workflow and use case around CareAlign. But there are many advanced features embedded within the application that you can use for more advanced teaching, such as the sick button, which can help teach students to think about when to identify that they're worried about a patient, colored flags to organize the list, and on the left side, when you enter allergies and emergency contact information, you can actually see all that information in a standardized place. There's also an area here for vitals, for labs. If you're interested in using these parts of the application, please contact us for more information. On the right side of the screen is the patient's wiki. It is structured like a SOAP note with a one-liner or the A of the SOAP note, a box for the subjective and objective, or the S and the O of the SOAP note. There is a box here for data and other information, which does not go into the SOAP note and is where you're going to be entering all the information about your standardized patients. And then below, there's an area to craft a problem-based structured plan. And there's different views to be able to see the entire plan or just the task list. So to start, of course, we want to keep things simple. Both you as the preceptor and the student can do all of your work right from the list view without having to get into significant more details in the beginning. So when you're on your patient list, you want to click on the work list view. What that does is pull in information from the patient's page, like the one-liner, the data box, any FYIs, and tasks. So you want to enter the information that you would have normally put in a Word document or a PDF about the patient into this data and other info box, as you can see here. You can also link to documents that might have more information, like labs, images, etc. All you have to do is highlight text and click on the link button, and then enter the link you want to embed. That's it. You've made your first standardized patient. We're excited to share that we've actually created a way to automate making many copies of these standardized patients, so you only have to do one for each case. To do that, simply from the source list, click on the edit icon near the patient's name, and in the middle name, you want to enter the number of copies that you want made of that patient every night. You can write whatever else you want here as well, but the important thing is the number. Now, once you do that, our engine will do the hard work and create that many copies of this patient every night, and then they're going to show up on your demo list. One thing to note is that if you have a 15 written in that middle name, it's not going to create 15 new patients every day, and your demo list is going to grow from 15 to 30 to 45 to 60 patients so quickly. It's just going to make sure that every morning there are 15 copies that are ready and available to use, and if any of them have changed, then it will replace that. So next, we suggest making a list for each of your students. Once the copies of your standardized patients are created on that demo list, you can then save one standardized patient to each student's list for them to work on. Think of it like printing a PDF and handing it to each student. So first, to create the student list, you're going to click Add List again. Then you're going to pick a standard naming convention. We suggest the word student, then the last name of the student, _ first name of the student. Now, the first time when you do this, that list won't already be created, and there's going to be an option that says Create New List again. You'll do that, add the list, and click Save. Once you're done, you'll see that the save lists are here in the bottom left of your screen, and you can click on any one of them to change what patients you're looking at. But the important thing to know is they're all shared, so if you make one, your colleague will be able to see it. If you make a mistake, don't worry. You can edit the list name at any time. All you have to do is click on this edit icon and then on the icon next to the list name, and then update it. Once you've created all the lists for your students and your standardized patient has been copied, the next step is to put a standardized patient on each of your students' lists. Now, this is something that ultimately the students should be able to do themselves and will be very easy and quick for them to do once they're familiar with CareAlign. But for the first time, we suggest doing it for them. So what you want to do is go to the demo list and start by first adding the student's name to the patient's name so that they're easy to find. So click on the edit icon near the patient's name and add the student's last name _ first initial to the patient's first name. And you can do that in parentheses if you like. Then click Save. Next, move this patient to the students list. So click on the edit icon on the right side of the screen near where it says Wiki Started, and you're going to see in the top left again what lists the patient is on. You want to start by deleting the source list by clicking on this trash icon. And then in the drop-down box, you're going to search for the student's last name that you added to this patient's name so that they match. Once you do that, as you can see, the patient no longer shows up on the source list. They're now showing up on your student list, and that's it. You're ready to go. Now we're going to talk about how to keep track of your students' work that needs to get reviewed. There are a couple different ways to do this, which you can choose according to your preference, but we suggest picking one process for all the preceptors to follow. Part of the idea here is that CareAlign becomes a one-stop shop for your students where they can do their work, keep their standardized patient information, even their real patient work when they're on rotations. And then your preceptors will have one spot where they can review that work, provide feedback, kind of like a student portfolio instead of having to email documents and save them back and forth. This is the workflow we've shown the students. When they're working on a patient, they click on this work list view, and then they'll do the bulk of their initial history taking and writing in the one-liner box. The idea is that they will be able to type into this box while they are talking to their patient so they can learn to manage technology while talking to a patient in a safe space. After the encounter, they can then clean up what they wrote and complete their history. Once they're done, they'll add a task over here to let you know that they're done and that their work is ready to review. They're going to put the date in that they finished so that you can keep things organized, and they will tag whichever faculty member or preceptor will be reviewing their work. Now, as the preceptor, once you've been tagged in a task like this, two things will happen. First, this task will go to your personal task pool. To get there, in the Smart List section, click on My Tagged List. This will show you all the standardized patients with their students' names that have a task tagged for you that you can then work on. Second, you'll get a summary email the next morning letting you know that there were tagged items for you to review with a link that will take you directly to that list. So from your tagged list, you want to click on the work list view again. It's going to show you the one-liner where your student has entered their information and the task that they've tagged you in. To review their work, click this caret to expand the one-liner box. Now, obviously, what I've written here is not very complete, and they'll have a lot more information in here. As you read the work, in the section below called Important Patient Information, you can take notes and write your feedback. You can use the dot phrase that we've created, or you can call it a shortcut, to bring in a template for your evaluation and feedback. This is just a sample template, which you can see that I brought in by typing .meded history. We can make whatever shortcuts you like, including specific ones for each specific type of case, so that you can make sure all of the preceptors are looking for the same type of elements, the same structure in the history, and providing standardized evaluation, meeting all of the needs that you've identified. To request a new template or any changes, anytime, simply use the chat icon in the bottom right corner of the screen and let us know what you're looking for. Now, your tagged list is only going to show items that have your name tagged in them. So what you want to do when you first add this template is adding your name with the @ sign and then your name, so it creates a tag in the reviewed by part of this template. That will make sure that this feedback will show up on your tagged view until you remove that tag. Once you're done writing your feedback, click enter, and you will get this menu for the feedback item. The first time you do this for each patient, we suggest in the problem section, choosing the new problem option and creating one called feedback. Then click save. The purpose of this is to keep all your feedback in one place to make it easier to review and to find later. A couple quick features to know about. First, you can double click to edit this text anytime, and it will allow you to edit it right here while you're still looking at the student's work. If you click on the edit icon or the pencil icon all the way to the right, it opens the task for editing in the full menu item, which will then hide the student's work. So make sure to double click the item instead. Second, in an effort to require as few clicks as possible, if you hit the enter key while you're typing in this box, it's automatically going to save it. However, if you press the shift button when you hit enter, then it will move your cursor to the next line. So if you want to make paragraphs or leave spaces, simply type shift plus enter. Finally, once you're done, check the box with the task that the student entered to let you know that they were done. Then you want to create a new task to let the student know that you're done and they can review. Simply click here and use the shortcut that we've created by typing dot followed by meded-feedback. Just be sure to put the student's name in here so that they get an email letting them know that this item is ready for them to review. Once a student has reviewed their feedback, they'll check this item off. When they do that, you'll see that it's complete when you're looking at your work list view. You can then remove your name tag from this feedback item, which will then take this patient completely off your tagged list. So it's a way to clean up your list without getting rid of the patient, without deleting anything, just removing the tag so they don't show up on your personal work list. That's it. We look forward to hearing your feedback and hearing what you think. We are making some videos about the second phase of how you can use CareAlign as a more detailed problem-based plan and note generator. So we look forward to hearing more from you.